right, guys, welcome to the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. Darren here. I'm your host. You can check me out at Wendell Fishing on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And guys, I got the goods for you tonight. I got Georgia, a Bassmaster, with us, and we have a lot to talk about. I've been all over his YouTube channel today, and I want to know why he started his channel. I just saw a video titled "GMC sent me an $80,000 Denali to fish with." What? We've got to talk about that. He's got some friends we all probably heard about as well. I see him fishing with Norm, Lojo. We're going to talk river fishing, multi-species angling. I saw a video where it said angry fisherman almost hits me with a lure. To see how he breaks down a pond, fishing without fish finders, his kayak setup, fishing a submarine base. Guys, I have more questions than I think we have time here. But I'm excited. I got some news because for the first time ever, the show has a sponsor, which I'm pretty pumped about, usrivermaps.com. It's actually one of our listeners starting a small business. He's like, hey, I'd love to partner up with you. So check him out there, usrivermaps.com. You can kind of see one right over my shoulder here. Boom, right there. Got the map of Ohio. And essentially, these are hydrological maps of the states in which you live or anywhere you want. They got them all over the place. And basically all the streams from the creeks all the way up to big rivers, and he kind of prints them on canvases as UV printed, and they're pretty awesome. So Jeff, my man, thank you so much for bringing value to the show. But I want to bring on Georgia Bassmaster. Hey, Marshall, welcome, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I was looking around your YouTube channel today, and I'm like, all right, this guy's been around for a few years. I want to hear why you started a YouTube channel. I see you have 8 million views. That's quite a bit, my friend. So tell me the journey.
It actually all started out, a buddy of mine named Daniel. He's got a YouTube channel called Skinny Pedal Motorsports. If anybody in here is interested in like car stuff, but he basically was talking about starting a YouTube channel about, building a car and putting turbos in it. And I was like, I guess I'll start one too about fishing. So we both kind of collaboratively started a channel together about three and a half years ago, just for fun. And, I actually really kind of like fell in love with it and producing content, and just had a couple of, younger fans starting out that really encouraged me. And I would always comment on my videos on how I was helping them and providing tips, and they were catching fish. So I kind of just kept uploading, and, I've just enjoyed the process of it myself.
Yeah, we all have those. I got some diehards that I'm surprised you guys keep writing on these videos. Glad they're finding value. Ton of fun. So that was 3 years ago.
Right.
Which do you like more, fishing or the content creation?
I think I like them both equally now. So, I mean, I've edited a couple videos for friends, and I really enjoy the editing side, just as much as I do fishing sometimes. And especially here in the winter when things get a little slower. Sometimes just editing a video with a nice, hot cup of coffee at night's something therapeutic about that for me.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah, we don't have a choice up here because it's like we're the frozen chosen. My kayak is up on a hoist in my garage, which is a big bummer. So I am like content creation machine right now. I think I got videos scheduled for like the next month through December. I could die today, and everybody, you guys would still be getting content.
I have a video all the way till December 28th, scheduled. So like I'll often think about that. I was like, man, if I was to die, people wouldn't even know for like a few months from now.
You'd be still speaking truth into their life. I love it. Well, this is an interactive show, everybody. So if you have a question, or one of the questions that I had, you're like, hey, let's start there first. Go ahead. We have Richard. He's like, oh man, let's go. Game on. Lost and tackle. Let's do this. Great questions. There's Jeff, my man, with US River Maps. Check him out. And man, everyone's pumped. So anybody want to give me where should I start with Marshall here? Let me know. I'm going to move on to the next question real fast. Are you a full-time content creator?
Oh, absolutely not. I have a full-time job. My wife is in nursing school full-time, basically, and I have 3 kids. So I have a full-time job to provide for everything, and fishing is just kind of a side thing right now. Hopefully, I say when she graduates nursing school in a little over a year, I'm going to quit my job and do this full-time. So that's the long-term game.
It is on the horizon.
It is.
The hope, the dream. I think we all have that dream. I have that dream. I'm hoping that for like, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, who knows how long it takes anymore,
It
be
could
able to
blow
pull
up
that trigger.
overnight.
That's the crazy thing.
I was talking to you about my buddy Larry Melton.
Yeah.
He had 1,000 subscribers one day, and then he uploaded a couple of videos. I remember one of them popped off, and it was called "Fishing a Prison Pond." And his brother worked at the prison and got him access to come in there and fish the prison pond.
Uh-huh.
And I remember it just blew up like 100,000 views. And then every video he had after that was just 50,000, 50,000. And then he went full time with it, just like 2 or 3 months after started blowing up. And he's been full time ever since. So it could happen overnight. Not everyone is an overnight success. Most people have to grind it out for 5, 6, 7 years. So, but you never know.
Yeah, I hear those stories, and it's like the one in a million. They're true,
Yeah.
but it's like nothing like that ever happens to me. I usually have to,
No.
fake it, grind it till I make it, type of thing. But well, I was on your YouTube channel today, and I was like, what in the world? And I saw this title. I didn't watch the video because I wanted you to tell me about it. What's this all about? Because that's pretty awesome. No, tip my hat to you. GMC sent me an $80,000 Denali to fish with. This is like a
Yeah.
relationship you have? They reach out to you? What's going on?
They did, and I'm sure you get a bunch of emails. I probably get 5, 6, 7 emails to my personal or my business email I have on my YouTube. And you never know which ones are scams and which ones are trying to get you to click a link for a virus and this and that. But it was an email from, it looked like a legitimate GMC, representative saying that, hey, we'll send you a truck, just produce some content with it. And I actually got sent another truck before this video. It was it was a Chevrolet the first time. And I basically hit them back up again. I said, hey, I'm doing a couple of trips and I'd like another truck. And they said, sure. And they sent me the Denali, and the nicest vehicle I've ever driven in my life. So luckily I have a pretty good relationship with them. They
Yeah.
said, pretty much if I have any crazy trips planned or to produce good content, they'll basically send one out. So that's, but it's only for a week. They send
Oh,
it
okay. They
out.
didn't give it to you. They're like, hey,
No,
you,
no,
you
no,
use
no,
it.
absolutely
Go.
not. I'm not that lucky. They basically delivered it to my door. I produced like 3 fishing videos with it that week, and then they come and pick it up, and then I kind of space them out, 2 videos, TikTok videos. So nothing too crazy.
But still, that's nice. It's so
Oh,
fun. I
I
mean, there
enjoyed it.
there are guys out there like they get trucks.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I haven't
crazy.
got that lucky.
No, we're not that lucky. I still get stuff that's like completely unrelated to fishing. Like, hey,
Right.
you wanna here's a cooler. I'm like, wow, I kind of get it. It's adjacent, but not super helpful. I'm still waiting for a company who actually does fishing to reach out to me. Our time will come, Marshall. It will come.
Right.
Yeah, it
I
will.
tell everyone. I'm sure maybe they have fishing channels, YouTube channels. I think I've only got one type of sponsorship by actually asking the person, like, "Hey, I'd like to collaborate with you."
Right?
But majority of mine have been from, you produce content, produce good content, use a quality product, and maybe that company will actually reach out to you first.
Mm,
And majority of my, sponsorships and people I work with, they actually reached out to me. So it usually doesn't work the other way around. A lot of times I
yeah.
just get, left on red or never get emailed back. So, but you got to
I,
shoot your shot.
yeah, I've tried a little bit recently. I mean, I'm really careful in who I kind of hitch my wagon to. Really looking for a product that I believe in, and
Right.
so
That's the biggest thing.
yeah, I got to use it. I can't just use it for a week. I won't do reviews. I mostly do demos, and most of the time they won't let me have it for as long as I need to have it in order for me to actually give you a straight up, real deal review on it. My wife says she's upstairs. Maybe we can get a Wendell Fishing minivan sponsorship for me and the girls. I'll try, Ben. I'll try. Richard says, "Hey, I saw a YouTube short from Georgia Bassmaster a bit ago. The one where you save a bass in the mud, drained lake. Is that you?"
Yeah, that was me. I uploaded that video on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I think it got, probably 10 million on TikTok, probably 3 million plus on YouTube, at least somewhere in there, 2 or 3 million, something like
Jeez.
that. And a lot on Instagram. I don't remember, but that one was a pretty good video. And what happened was I work for like a construction utility company, and I just so happened to be on the job site the day that this other company, not mine, was busting the dam of a lake, and just
Okay.
all the fish were just flying out from where they're cut a slit in the dam, and we basically got as many fish as we could and relocated them downstream the best we could, and a lot of the ones that didn't make it, fed a lot of the crew workers there, but couldn't save them all. But that video did pretty good.
Wait. Is this the video that maybe I saw it and I didn't really realize it was you? You take like a half cut piece of corrugated pipe and
Yes,
you
that was
walk
me.
out to it. That was
Yeah, that
you.
was me. Yeah.
No way. I love it. Look at this small world. All right. Well, I got a question here from Jeff. Do you tournament fish? And I know the
Okay, so
answer to this. One of my questions was, well, I'll let you go because one of your videos says I did my first tournament and you won it.
well, that was my first kayak fishing tournament, and I did win that one. That was the last kayak tournament I ever did. I entered and won on a good note, so I don't want to break my streak. Enter another one in the league.
Undefeated kayak.
So right now I'm
fisherman.
an undefeated kayak tournament champion. But my dad and I used to fish a lot of tournaments around local lakes and stuff like that, and I kind of got out of that just for the fact I was doing YouTube, and you don't really want to be, showing everywhere you're catching these fish in the tournament. So I kind of got out of that and started really just fishing for fun. But I used to fish tournaments, probably, once a month or so, anything crazy, but I used to fish them in a boat.
Oh, nice. So do you, I understand because I have a home lake and I try to hide. There's some pretty, you would know where it was if you lived around here, but I try to hide it. Do you ever find people out there who were like knew you and they're there because they saw a video with you fishing?
All the time.
Really?
And the reason I'm telling you that I have videos all the way till December 28th right now is because I like to fish my area and then prolong the video to come out, because in a month from now, the fish where I'm catching them, they're not going to be there.
Right.
They're going to be transitioned to another area, because I would record a video, upload it the next week, and then there'd be somebody in my fishing spot using the same lure I was using, locals that know I fish the lake. I remember no one was fishing Alabama rigs in my lake, and I uploaded a video maybe last January, not this January, but the last January,
Okay.
of me throwing A rigs and just catching like 6-7 pounders.
Jeez.
And then the next weekend I went out on the lake, there was 7 boats out there and everyone was throwing A rigs. So I'm like, all right, I got to stop doing this. I'm just ruining my own spots.
Oh, yeah, it's the danger. I was watching.
And
oh, go ahead.
I'm just like you. I don't post my lake in my videos. I don't say the name of my lake in my videos. Sometimes I would even try to like hint that I'm at a different, locals are going to know where you're at. Sometimes people recognize scenery, but I try to be discreet as possible because people don't like you blowing up their spot.
Yeah. Oh, no, I lost you. You froze on me. Let me see if I can get him back. Sorry, folks. Give me a hot second. Well, not sure what to do except just wait a moment. So if you guys give me a minute, we'll see if he tries to log back on. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully we can get him back on. Oh, this is going great. Kind of bummed. All right, he's off. That means he's trying to get back on. Yep, he just texted me trying to get it back. All right, we'll give him a moment. I think his Wi-Fi crashed. So go get a drink, my friends. Oh, there he is.
Are we back?
We're back. You were just getting into it.
Yeah, I was trying to let you know, for whatever reason, my Wi-Fi went down on everything just for a minute. So
Bizarre. Well, the last thing
okay,
we heard is that people don't like you blowing up their home lake spots. I get it. That makes
I've
sense.
I've had some people tell me to stop recording videos out there. I've gotten a couple of nasty little notes left on my truck of
Really?
people that don't like it. And one of the videos you mentioned of, the title of it was "Fisherman Almost Hits Me with a Lure," kind of involves that.
Okay, keep
Wasn't
talking. Just
wasn't
go
too
deep on that.
too friendly of an encounter.
No, it was not. I
And
watched it.
he basically, was calling me names in the video and, kind of making fun of me about, oh, you're that. He called me summertime
Summertime.
monster, but yeah, he didn't like I was recording out there. We kind of hashed it out a little bit later. He didn't like that I don't think he really knew I was recording. So after I uploaded the video, him and all of his friends started commenting on the video about how I was in the wrong in the video, but we ended up kind of hashing it out and ending on kind of a friendly, okay, sorry, I'm sorry. So we don't really speak to each other on the lake, but we're cordial and friendly.
Yeah.
But, people, long story short, people usually don't like YouTube fishermen on their lake.
Yeah. I haven't had issue. I mean, I have this one guy. I don't know what it is. I mean, I saw him on one lake that's near where I'm at, and this old timer was kind of rolling by in a boat, probably 40 yards out from him, and he just starts cursing every word, just a stream of cautiousness of just curse words. I'm like, dude, calm down a bit. I mean, I understand he's maybe a little close, but just an old timer rolling by. And then I see him on a different lake, and he's fishing the bank. I am out in open water. I'm probably 60 yards from him. He looks at me and just starts doing the curse. This I almost thought, does this dude have Tourette's? And like this is just kind of his thing. I don't know, but that was the only time I've had people get all riled up. But does it happen to you often? I fish on a fairly smaller lake, only about 500 acres, so you're just bound to run into people. But I saw your lake; it's a big one.
Well, the main lake I fish in my local area is a 775 acre lake, and it's
Okay.
a county reservoir. It's electric only. So there's normally only like electric john boats and kayaks out there. I don't really have a bass boat anymore, so we don't really go fish the big, 100,000 acre, impoundments. But locally, it's a pretty good size lake, 700, almost 800 acres. Is pretty good size.
So what was the argument? So kind of share what was
Okay,
happening. Kind of give us a visual for everyone who's on the podcast, listening in, and also a live show.
I'd like to know everyone's input on how close is acceptable to fish next to another fisherman, because that's ultimately what started it. I got out there on this certain point of the lake early in the morning. It's a pretty popular point of the lake. There's not too many lakes that are not too many points. It's very shallow. It goes pretty far out. So this is kind of a popular hotspot. So I got out there early before the sun had even come up. And you can watch the video. You can just barely see anything while I'm out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically 20 yards away from the bank. And I'm probably sitting about 10 foot deep, maybe 12 foot, casting towards the shallow end of the point. And he comes rolling up, like wanting to cut in front of me.
You in the
And it's
bank.
only 20 yards in front.
Mm.
And he sees that it's kind of not a lot of room in front of me. So he's fishing, going to the behind me on the point, still probably 10, 15 yards away.
That's close.
And I don't remember who said something first. I think it was him. He said, "Hey, which side of the point do you want? Do you want the deep side or the shallow side?" And in my mind, I mean, the point's probably only 40 yards long.
Mm.
So if I'm 20 yards out, I'm basically in the middle. So he's either wanting me to push up shallower or go way far out to the deep.
Mm.
And I'm just sitting in the middle. And his problem is that I was sitting in the middle. But in
You
my
weren't moving.
defense, I was there first.
Right.
So, I mean, if I was in the opposite situation, I would have just went somewhere else.
Right.
But he basically said something first, casted a lure, and the lure landed 2 feet from my boat, like basically probably just splashed water in my boat. And after he said
trying to
something
hit
and splashed water in the boat, I don't remember what I said, but I said, "Hey, I was here first," or something like that. And he said, "You're hogging the whole point." And I mean, it's a point. Like you can't really put two boats on it. I mean, unless you're best friends or buddies. And I
Right.
mean, you tell me how close is too close, but I try to keep 50, 60 yards away from anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
fishing.
Oh,
So
hey, this is the question. Let's throw it out to everyone listening in. How close is too close? And here's the thing. I think it's a variable, right? Based on how big your lake is. So I fish typically a 500-acre lake. So this is smaller than you, but I'm proactive. If I see someone, I'll give them a 50-yard berth, and I think that's
right.
solid. But here's the thing: I
Same.
polled this on my community page. How close is too close, or get to another angler? And I put casting distance like 20 yards, 50 yards, and like 100 yards. And I had like 15 to 2,000 votes on this. It was like 25, 25, 25, 25%.
Right.
And this is why there's arguments about it. That's why you can find endless videos on people getting upset about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was rolling just kind of. I pedal kayak when I was just been running this line along the bank, probably 15 yards off of it, and this boat just there's two vessels on the water that morning, me and this boat, and he runs within casting distance of me to get to this little point in front of me. I didn't say anything. I'm not even sure. It was so close. I was like, I'm not sure this dude even sees me. Like, he might not even see me. He's that close, or he
Right.
just doesn't care. And I was like, what's going on? I mean, it wasn't worth it. I just went around him and start catching fish again. I was like, come on. I don't know. Jeff says, here's some comments. First to a spot should take precedence. Having long cast plus at least a half again. I like that. Cast and a half.
I agree. At least.
Bank Parker Outdoors. Don't be in my lap or my back pocket. And then Ben says, "Do you fish hickory log?" Not even quite sure what that is. And even if he
It
does
is
fish it, I don't know if
it's
he'll answer
another
it.
it's another local reservoir in my area. I have fished it. So yeah, I have fished hickory log. I don't fish it very much though.
Well, that should tell you something, Ben. We don't fish it very much.
There's some good fish in there.
No, there you go. Go over there. Not where he is, right? Oh, I love it. So, are you sponsored by some companies? Love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm sponsored by Mystery Tackle Box, Catch
Oh yeah.
Code. I have a Lose sponsorship, a boat seat company like Millennium Marine. I guess you could say I have a bona fide sponsorship, Kayak. They
Oh,
sent me the
okay.
kayak. Nothing, I don't get anything from them. They just, sent me the kayak and said, produce content with it. My favorite type of sponsorships are when a company just like tells you, here you go, use it, have fun with it. And
Yeah.
then I usually try to produce more for them than the companies that say, we want 3 videos a month. We want you to do this many Instagram posts. I
Mm,
prefer just to have the ones that say, here's the product, enjoy it.
yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Bonafide. So that's
Oh,
the same
and
company
and
that.
Pineside. My buddy
What
Joe started this company a few years ago, and I help him out trying to promote the company.
what's Pineside? Real quick before we move on.
A buddy of mine, Joe Strong, created this company a few years ago. It's basically just a angler outdoor company. They have like fishing, long sleeve shirts, hats, jackets, shorts. Pretty much everything. It's all just Pineside gear, but it's a pretty good company. They got the same material that Huck and Columbia PFG have.
Mm-hmm.
So like all the same material that all the top name brand fishing people have, but it's like $20, $25 shirts instead of $40 and $50.
Yeah, I like that. All right, well, so let's hop into some fishing here. You are the Bassmaster. Tell me about this. I ask every guest that comes on the show, everybody who's listening, what are 3 things that they're pretty competent in and that they want to talk about a bit. Then I thought you mentioned something that's pretty neat. You have a variety of different black bass species in Georgia, and I believe you actually target them
I
every
do.
year. Walk me through that. I doubt the majority of people even know there are 12 black bass species. There's actually more, but in Georgia there's
Yeah.
12. Walk
There's actually
it,
about
not again. Come on back to us. Come back to us. I don't know. The internet's giving us trouble, fellas. I apologize, but he came back quick last time, so we'll see what happens. We'll answer a question while he's out there. Bank Parker Outdoors. He says, I know Wendell has to be a fan of the old AEP strip mines being in Ohio, right? That is right. That is correct. And I don't mind sharing that honey hole because there are like literally 900 to over 1,000 ponds down in southern Ohio. If you ever have a chance to get out there, camping's free, and those things, the more aggressive those bass are when you get deeper into the forest and kind of find some of those lakes and ponds that you just can't have easy access to. So if you get a chance, check out AEP or Jesse Owens State Park, and if you're ever in southern Ohio, head out there and pick up some big ones there. So that's pretty awesome. And you can see the big musky bucket. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look that up as well. It's a pretty sweet. AEP was basically all strip mine back in the 80s and 90s. And so, and in their pursuit of looking for coal, there's a ridiculous amount of holes everywhere. Well, they had since, of course, let them fill up with water and then stocked them with bluegill and bass. And so it's pretty sweet. Always curious about the actual number of ponds there. Yeah, I'm curious as well. In my research, I know it's anywhere from 900 to 1,100, but I'm not sure exactly what kind of constitutes as a pond. But we got him back.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's got to my Wi-Fi out here is absolutely terrible.
It's all right. Well, hopefully we'll kind of keep you. I was just talking about AEP, which is basically a strip mine back in the 80s and 90s, and really good fishing in southern Ohio. Gave away my spot.
I was just getting into the good stuff too.
All right, well, keep going. We're talking black bass species. Take us for a ride.
Okay, there's actually 15 or 16 species of black bass in the United States. 16 is kind of debated on. I'm sure everyone knows largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. A lot of people are pretty familiar with the Guadalupe bass, which is in Texas. A lot of my people in Southeast United States are pretty familiar with a red eye. We have those in Georgia. We have a shoal bass, which is probably our most popular fish in Georgia. We have the Suwannee bass, which is native to lower Georgia and mainly the upper regions of Florida. So you can catch those in Florida as well. But there are technically 12 black bass species in Georgia. It's the most amount of species in any state. Only 10 are recognized because they kind of lump the Florida largemouth in with the Georgia largemouth, which is a northern strain. And a lot of people don't know there's actually a pretty big genetic difference between a Florida strain largemouth bass and a northern strain. Even though they may look very similar, the genetic differences are huge, and that's why the Florida largemouth grow absolutely giant, and it's about 100 times easier to catch a 10-pounder in Florida than it is anywhere else because they are genetically vastly different.
Yeah.
But we have a 12 total. There's an Altamaha, Suwannee, red eyes. We have Tallapoosa bass, smallmouth. But I basically go out and target each one of these species. They're all basically located in different river systems, and I try to catch at least, to qualify. Georgia has something called a Georgia Angler Award Program, and basically Georgia sends you a plaque. I have a couple on my wall back here. I could probably pan it over too. But they send you a plaque. They put your name on the website, give you a bunch of stickers and stuff like that. If you complete the slam, if you catch at least 5 out of the 10 species they have recognized on the program, and I go out and I catch all 10 of these, technically all 12, but I catch all 10 that are recognized in the state. And I basically make a video out of each one of those and show the differences. And have you ever heard of a shoal bass, like by chance? Or
to be honest with you, the first time I heard about it is through all the videos on your YouTube channel.
They look pretty similar to a smallmouth. They have the big vertical bars that a smallmouth have. So basically just think of a smallmouth type pattern with a largemouth, more of a largemouth head on them. But our state record is 8 pounds, 5 ounces for a shoal bass. And the world record, which was caught in Florida, was like 8 pounds, 7 ounces. So they only get pretty much 8.5 pounds, and they're pretty fun to catch. They have to live in a river system that has shoals and like waterfalls, and that's why they're called a shoal
Okay,
bass.
that's where they're hanging out.
Because if you take them out of the river, of that well oxygenated river where all the waterfalls, and you put them in a pond, they'll die.
Really,
So,
that fragile?
yeah, they're that fragile. So like they're only native to our streams down here because of all the shoals and falls and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm sure you could relocate them to another area where there is that, but if you put them in a pond, they're going to die.
Fascinating. So, do you notice like a fight difference? Obviously, you use probably you're like,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
I'm going after shoal. I use a specific lure. Kind of walk us through, kind of high level, what that looks like for you.
oh yeah, shoal bass. Anytime you catch a fish that's native to a river and lives in a stream, they're going to automatically fight harder.
Right.
And these shoal bass, their favorite place to be is dead center of the current. They live there. I'm talking about flood, doesn't matter. They're going to be in the current.
Hmm.
And you get a fish that's lived its whole life
In the current.
swimming upstream. It's a completely different world than catching a fish out of a pond. And I've caught, I can't tell you how many 3.5 pound shoal bass that will peel your line out and swim upstream, like not
Really,
downstream,
upstream.
upstream. So like for a fish to pull drag out and to swim against the current, these fish are extremely.
Wow. So, what do you use lure wise?
Um, my main thing for them is like a jerk bait. Actually, my new favorite jerk bait I have right here are these like Shimano Flash Boost. I don't know if any of you
Ah,
guys have used them. It's got a little I don't know if you can see that thing wobbling around in there.
kind of, yeah.
It's got kind of like a little mirror in it that shakes. So you
Ah,
jerk it and that it flashes, and they absolutely love it. They love those. Um, a lot of people like using Helgramites. I don't know if
okay.
you guys have those in your
Oh,
area,
I
but
got when I river fish in Pennsylvania, I try to find some, and I bring some plastics for smallies.
they're
They go
pretty
crazy
big.
over them.
They like eating crawfish, Helgramites, and like little baby shad and stuff. So mainly those type of lures.
Nice. So you would consider yourself what's your favorite river fishing? Which is one of those things I feel like you've shared with me. Like, okay, that's one thing I
I've
feel pretty confident. Or
I've
pond
grown
or
over
lake.
the past year to my favorite thing to fish now is the river. It's a lot different than pond fishing, but it's once you get the hang of it, I tell people all the time, river fish are way more predictable and easy to find once you kind of
Hmm.
understand the areas they're going to be. Like in a steep or a very sharp bend, it's going to be deeper there. So like it's hard to fish if you know where they're going to be. Like if you need to go find the holes, the shoals, the waterfalls, the rocks. So like depending on what species it is and what time of year it is, to me, I can go to the river pretty much any time of year and probably catch 12 to 15 bass species. And the pond, you're not always guaranteed that. You might get skunked.
Right. And you got to deal with other people who might be coming within
Right. And
casting
that's
distance
another
of you.
thing I've grown to love about the river is a lot of these areas I fish, and why I got into kayak fishing is a lot of these places are so hard to get to,
Mm,
and they're so less pressured than a lake, because not very many people want to drag their kayak down a 60-degree angle bank and drag it back up the bank later, or float 5 miles down the river, or paddle upriver, however you need to get to them. So
right.
some of these fish, I believe, it could be a 2 pound bass. He might not have ever even seen a lure in his whole life. So sometimes they're a little easier to catch because of that. But
Yeah.
uh, sometimes people go kayaking just for fun, just to go kayaking. So
Mm.
not only do you get the fun of catching a fish, sometimes it's just fun to go down a little waterfall or a shoal, and it's a fun experience. So I've really grown into kayak fishing, and river fishing is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I think one of the things with river fishing is so difficult for me is you usually got to go with somebody, right? Because you got to park a truck and you got to ride
Right.
back, and it's just more of a hassle, and it's a lot easier to just hop on a lake or pond. But
Mm,
when you get that, you get, you know, usually when you work a little bit harder, you can get those fish that are under pressured and haven't been trained for years, for
100%.
sure. So I need to do a little bit. Heck, I got the map from US River Maps. Check them out, guys. The sponsor for the show today. But yeah, I am slowly falling in love with river fishing as well. I've done a lot of wading for it in Pennsylvania, but I really have never put a kayak on it. So you're bona fide. Walk me through your bona fide. What do you like about it? Is it that the one you mentioned? I don't believe is pedal powered. It's paddle powered, correct?
I have a 10-foot SS 107, and it's just a paddle kayak. But I also have the 12-foot P127. It's 11.5 foot, or it's a 12.5 foot. It is a pedal drive. It's my first pedal drive I've ever had, and it's a propeller pedal drive.
Yeah.
It's not like the Hobie
I
fins,
don't like
but
I don't like those anyway. So
I absolutely love it, man. It's a game changer.
this is the
But
one
it's
that
these
Bonafide sent you.
yeah, that sent me. I bought the 10-foot years ago, and that's goes along with my thing of I was already using the products, and it kind of got to where they're like, hey, we like that you use our kayak. Here's one right here, so that worked out pretty good. But if you know a lot about Bonafides, they're one of the wider kayaks on the market. They're not too narrow, and the biggest advantage of it is really being able to stand up and fish. And if you ever watch any of my videos, I virtually never. Sometimes even going down little shoals, I'll still stand up and cast. So that's my favorite thing about these Bonafides. I used to have a Lifetime, cheap Walmart
Tamarack.
$200 kayak. The Tamarack, I had the Tamarack, and I had another one, basically the same thing. But I started out fishing in those, and I could only sit in that. You could not stand in those to save your life.
Right. Some people swear by them still to this day. They love the
They're
Tamarack.
they're
But
good in the sense of I think that Tamarack I had was like 38 pounds. So, you could throw that on your shoulder and go anywhere you wanted versus this P127 I got pushing 100. So sometimes,
big
some
boy.
areas are kind of limited on where I can go by myself. With a 100-pound kayak, it's not too easy.
No, not. And you start pulling stuff off. You're like, I don't want to carry that. I don't want to carry that. Start peeling away
I
all
mean,
your
100
gear.
pounds after you drag it for half a mile, it adds up.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, Bonafide, there is they merge with Native
Yeah.
and Liquid
It's all
Logic.
under the Big Adventures
Yeah,
kayak. They're
that was
all one
back in
company
back
now.
in 19. So
And
I actually
it's the same pedal drive system that's on the Native, that's on the Bonafide. It's the exact same one.
the propelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same one. That's a solid drive, by the way. I haven't had any problem with mine. I had it for years. I haven't even opened it up. Probably need to service that bad boy. All right, so what's yeah, like Lost in Tackle says, Lifetime. You could stand, but not move.
Yeah.
Don't move. You got to be a statue on that bad boy. All right, so break down for us. Let's move away from rivers a little bit. Say you come to a pond for the first time. Now, you have a lot of videos like this. I saw you fishing silos, submarine base. You can talk a little bit about that as well. But how do you break down a pond for those of us who oftentimes fish ponds?
I haven't even got a fish finder in mind. So a lot of them, I work with a worm or a jig most of the time to start off with, figure out where all the drop offs are and the deep holes, shallow spots, which a lot of it's pretty, you can look at a pond and kind of tell. The biggest thing I do, I'm sure you do this too. I'll go on Google Earth and just scroll back in time to like when we had a drought. And a lot of times ponds or lakes, when they get low, you can kind of see where the islands are and where the shallow are. And a lot of times before I ever fish a pond, I'll go ahead and go back into the historical imagery and kind of scope it out before I ever even there. And then I already kind of have a clear idea of where everything's at. But that's kind of how I started.
Yeah, I typically always looking online, trying to get those aerial views. A lot of times you do get lucky, which is really nice. Is that how you search out? How do you find new spots? Are you someone who does like some adventure? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you you get yourself in trouble every once in a while.
I've gone to quite a few ponds like that. Ran out of a couple of them, all been there.
How's that usually work?
Uh, Not too good sometimes. I have a video on my channel called "The Cops Called Me."
Oh,
That one's a pretty good one. There
the
was a
cops called
pond.
you?
I'll tell you about it since we brought it
Yeah, let's
up.
do it. We'll go down that trail. I'm
I
curious.
found a pond on Google Maps
Hmm.
and I fished it, recorded a video, and somehow someone local noticed where I was. And apparently it's owned by the city, which I thought was no problem.
Right.
Because another thing I do is I look up the plat maps and I kind of see who owns the lake. And if it's a county or city owned lake,
Yeah,
I
you own it.
usually just send it. I'm like,
Right.
oh, the city owns it, so I'll just go fish it. But apparently the city doesn't want anyone fishing it out there. And my video got sent. Basically, I'm trying to think of the name of the position, but it's whoever's directly under the mayor of my town. It got sent to
Deputy
them.
mayor.
And they did not like that I was fishing out there. They opened up an investigation on me and they hired a detective to find out who I was
What?
and why I was fishing out there. I have a friend that works in the local city police department and he gave me a call. And he said, "Hey, I'm just going to let you know you've got a detective watching your videos. They don't like you fishing out there. I'm just going to go ahead and let you know. I told him you're my buddy. Don't go back out there. And if you do, don't record a video, but they're looking for you. They know your face. If you go back out there, you're going to get a pretty hefty fine." But I basically made the video saying, like, what a waste of police resources it was
Right.
to put a private or a police investigator to watch somebody's YouTube videos who was fishing a pond when I can't tell you how many, drug deal crazy things happen down the road, but you're going to invest your money into some local town fisherman that fished a pond. It's just
I
crazy.
I don't get it. I don't get it. One, if the city owns it, by default, you own it,
Well,
right?
they said it was a hazard risk, and if I was to fall and break my leg, they wouldn't want me to sue the city or something
You could say
crazy.
that about City Hall.
I mean, that's a great point, but that was their reasoning on why they told me not to go back out there.
Ridiculous. Sorry. I think that's ridiculous.
So
Interesting. So interesting.
I've had a few crazy things happen on the channel, and luckily I've, been able to record some of them for
Always be recording. You just never know what you're gonna never
right.
know who's gonna open their mouth and it's you hope you don't hope for that, right? You hope for a great time. I love the community of fishermen out on the water, but sometimes for some reason it just gets heated. It gets heated fast.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know
So
why that fishermen are kind of so negatively looked upon. Because to me, I'm like, at the end of the day, there are far worse things that we could be doing. And if me fishing is what's on the top of your priority, I just don't understand, why some people get so mad about it. I get if it's maybe your private property, but some people get mad when it's not even their private property.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
Well, I saw another title. I'm going to stay in this vein for a second. Karen kicks you out of a subdivision pond. Was that on you, or it just someone got riled up?
Well, that one was we were down in Orlando, Florida, and we were just I met up with a bunch of buddies of mine, like 4 other YouTube fishermen, and we're just fishing one neighborhood pond to the other. And I took a lot of the video out just because I didn't want to show too much of the lady. But basically, we were going to leave, and she basically kind of said a couple of words. And I told her the same thing. I said, "Hey, we could be out dealing drugs and this and that, but you're just getting mad that we're fishing a pond." I probably could have handled that one a little better. I probably should have just said, you know, okay, we'll leave. But I kind of got a little riled up that time.
Yeah. You got some friends that you fish with that are people would know. Fishing with Norm, Lojo. These are guys. These your buddies. How do you connect with them?
Uh, I wouldn't say buddies. I fished with Norm once, did a couple of videos with him. Yak Pack, I met up with him once or twice. He actually lived about 15 miles away from me, and it was always really hard to get our schedules lined up because I work a full-time job, and then he's wanting to be on the lake at daybreak on the Tuesday when I got to work. So that didn't line up too well. But
Right.
yeah, I fished with Lojo, Yak Pack. I've done a lot of fishing with Larry Melton out in Alabama. Those are some of my biggest collabs I've done. But I fished with some smaller guys like Tate. I don't know if you know who Fishing with Tate is. Zuggy.
I don't.
I've met a lot of them through TikTok.
Okay. Nice. So what are
But
videos?
I did get to go to Lojo's pond and fish his backyard pond, so that was pretty fun.
Nice. I saw that you did like a kind of walkthrough of his, garage or whatever he had this all of his stuff in. That'd be pretty sweet. I actually need to watch that video. I can't watch them all. You got like 5 hours of watch time from me today.
I think I've got, probably pushing 300 videos on my channel from, 3 years of doing this. I was doing 2 videos a week. I'm kind of down to 1 now, but yeah, that's a lot of content to keep up with.
2 videos a week it's tough. I mean, you're up late, early. I know when I try to do, especially during the summertime, I'm up before work. I have a video shot before like 8:30 starts when I start work. So, and you just got to grind.
I'm sure you can attest to this, but like if you watch some of my early videos, kind of pretty cringy. I started out doing this YouTube just on my iPhone. I didn't even have a GoPro. I had an off-brand called an 8-man camera that I bought off Amazon for $40. And I was using Windows Movie Maker to edit all my videos. So that's how I started off, pretty much a $40 budget. I was using free stuff. So, I mean, anybody that's watching this, start it up if you want to start it up and grow it from there. But not even sure where I was going with that.
I don't know. But I agree with you. There's no better time to start than now. I probably waited a full year.
Oh, what I was going to say.
Thinking about it.
I was pushing 2 videos a week, and I've kind of more shifted towards right now. I just want to produce 1 video a week, but I want to try to produce like the best quality I can. So like right now on my kayak, I have a front view GoPro. I have a rear view GoPro. I have a GoPro on my chest. So I have 3 views that I try to synchronize. I have a drone. I have a main camera. So like I have 5 cameras that I'm working with. And right now I'm just trying to produce like the good quality content over producing a bunch of content. That's a pretty big debate on which one you should do. Should you grind out more content? Should you grind out better content? Right now I'm just trying to produce like really high quality stuff, trying to see if that can gain a little bit more traction. Right now, that's what I'm trying to do. What do you think?
Great question. I believe that whenever you're starting out, crank out numbers because the first 100 are going to suck anyways, right?
Yeah, they're going to be terrible.
Yeah,
like you're going to look back and you're going to say, that was an absolute terrible video.
And you think you're good at the beginning, and then you're like, wait a second, that was really bad. I kind of adopt the 1% rule when I do stuff. It's just got to be 1% better than my last video.
Same.
And then I got to do something different. I'm just going for 1% better.
As long as you can look back 6 months from now and say, my content right now is better than then.
Yeah,
you're on the right track. Not everybody can start out like I love John B videos, but you're not going to start out doing a John B video. Even your first 200 videos, you're not going to have that quality of content. But
they got production teams that help do that stuff.
I'm a single man doing drone shots by myself, trying to fly the drone and fish at the same time. And I try to tell people, I'm like, look, guys, it's a lot of work to do this by yourself versus like if I was to have a full-time cameraman, it would be a complete game changer.
For sure. And sometimes I know I got to get a video out. I'm out there in the morning. It's absolutely beautiful. And I was like, I got to spend the next half hour shooting this video, but the fish are biting. That's the toughest part for me because, I'm not down in Georgia where you can fish nearly year round, right? We get ice.
I fish all year. The coldest our water gets, even in January, February, is probably about 43 degrees.
Okay.
And that's, fairly warm, I'd say. And the fish bite virtually all winter. So I fish year round here. It's a little slow in the winter, but they still bite.
Still pick them up. And everybody up here in the Northeast hates you right now.
Now, I'd love to do some ice fishing, especially like up in Michigan where they're pulling out, 4 foot pike and stuff like that out of the ice, like that'd be pretty fun.
Well, speaking of Michigan, um, I'm a professional fundraiser for a ministry called Prison Fellowship, and my territory is actually up in Michigan, and I am all on Grosse Pointe and farms in that area, which is Lake St. Clair. And
Right.
I saw one of your videos where you traveled all the way from Georgia to come up there and target some smallies. Walk us through how'd that go?
Yeah, normally once a year. I'm pretty good friends with Dylan Grubb, Extreme Outdoorsman YouTube channel. I'm sure maybe you've heard of him or some of your audience, but I fish with him about once a year. He lives in Michigan, and he fishes Lake St. Clair virtually every week of his life. And I usually fly up there, like I say, once a year, fish for 2 or 3 days just for smallmouth. And the first time I flew up there was, I think, 2021. So a little over, almost 2 years ago.
Mm.
And flew up there for my first time. My first smallmouth I ever caught, out of Georgia was 4.5 pounds.
That's a big
So
one.
it was a pretty good tank. And I think we probably caught 30 smallmouth that were in the 4-pound range.
Dang.
That day alone, probably. So Lake St. Clair is just absolutely phenomenal. Now it's
It's
terrible because if they catch a 6-pound largemouth, they're freaking out.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm like, oh man, like down here in Georgia, that's probably almost a once a week thing sometimes.
it's crazy. My PB is 6'2",
Yeah.
and that's huge up here.
It's crazy that, they catch 6-pound smallmouth out there pretty regularly. And like there be largemouth to be 6 pounds as well. And I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So I'm gonna do something here. I do the lightning round, and so want to ask you a few questions. So what I do is there's a little late on the audio effect there, but I got 5 questions for you. I want one word answers. Are you ready for this?
I'll try to do my best. I'm pretty terrible with these things.
No, here it goes. How many times a week do you fish?
Twice.
Twice. All right. Favorite fishing kayak accessory?
Would a pedal drive be
Technically,
acceptable?
you can take it on and off. I like it. Um, Number one lure for largemouth in Georgia.
Probably a chatterbait.
All right. All right. We'll come back to that. Favorite YouTube channel?
Fishing wise, John B.
Okay.
Non-fishing wise, Whistling Diesel.
I love that guy. Cracks me up. And how many places have you got kicked out of fishing spot?
That's probably in the 30s.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So you really go out adventuring. You're like, I don't even care. I'm just gonna go and we'll see how this goes. That's hilarious. All right, so number one lure for largemouth, chatterbait. I saw one of your videos where you had you had 5 chatterbaits on an A rig.
Oh yeah, it was a great video too.
Did you like reel that in with a broomstick?
The vibration on that thing alone was just insane. Now, spoiler alert, sometime this spring, I want to put 5 jackhammer chatterbaits on an A rig to make the world's most expensive A rig.
Yeah.
That's a video I got coming, so hopefully nobody steals it before I do.
That's a $100 rig right there.
Right, they're all $15 a piece, so that's $100 Alabama rig. So
why are
I
they
plan
so
on doing it.
expensive? Why are they so expensive?
I don't know, it's crazy. Now, even just the regular, the $5 jackhammers, that was a $40 Alabama rig I used, and I ended up catching a lot of fish on that. It actually worked a lot better than I thought it would.
Really?
And another video I put out either right before that one or right after that one, I put the blade at the top of the Alabama rig and set it down at the bottom.
Okay.
And I called it a Chatterbama rig. And I caught a bunch of fish on that one too.
I'm surprised you got anything. That's
as
so
far
much
as I know, I'm
vibration.
the only person to put the blade on the top. So
Up here
nobody
in
else has done
Ohio,
that.
we got to put 2 dummies on our A rigs.
Right. You guys can't even have 5 hooks on it.
No, we only have 3.
That's
so
crazy.
we'll get ourselves in trouble. I've never actually heard of anybody actually getting in trouble, because you'd have to have, a warden basically watching you.
as many times as I've fished an Alabama rig, I've caught a couple of doubles quite a few times, 2 fish at once. I've only caught 3 fish on it one time at once. So the chances, I don't know why you can't have 5 hooks. The chances of you catching 5 fish on it are virtually almost impossible.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I don't
know.
know why you wouldn't be allowed to.
I'll have to look it up. If anybody who's listening in knows why or knows the reason for it, please go ahead and chime in, or potentially you could look it up while we're still talking. That'd be great. So I got a couple more questions for you. If you have a question for Georgia Bassmaster, please go ahead and type that in the comments. If you've not done so yet, please help me out. Hit a like. It'll help on the replay and get this out to more people. And also thanks to the sponsor, usrivermaps.com. Check them out, helping make this show possible. But Marshall, back to you. So tell me about your first fishing tournament, and you won it. And I also noticed that you fish with your dad a lot. Is he part of that?
Yeah, I call him the Dad Master on the channel.
Does he
That's
have a
his
YouTube channel
official.
as well?
That's just his official YouTube name for my channel. Everybody calls him the Dad Master. But I've fished. I told my wife when we got married, I said, I've fished every Saturday with my dad ever since I was a little boy, and I will continue to fish every Saturday with my dad as long as he's alive. And we fish every Saturday we can, and sometimes more. So he's a pretty big person on my channel, I would say. A lot of folks, he kind of sounds like Boomhauer off of King of the Hill.
All
He
right.
doesn't talk too much. He's does a lot of mumbling, but I fished with him quite a few times. But if you want to talk about the kayak fishing tournament, I fished a river fishing tournament on my kayak, and we used the Tourney X Pro app. I'm sure you guys use that one up there. And there was probably, I think, 20 people in that tournament. And the river had red eye bass, largemouth, and spotted bass. And pretty much the spotted bass in that river, grow the biggest. So the best 5 spotted bass won.
Okay.
I caught a bunch of 16, 17-inch spots, and barely pulled out the win at the last minute. I think I was in 3rd or 4th place, and I tell everybody in the tournament, don't give up.
Right.
I think I had 7 minutes left in the tournament, and I caught 2 spots back to back that were both a little bit over 16 inches, so I could call out and got that on video. And when I took the last picture of the last bass I caught, I think I had a minute left until the
Jeez.
well, I logged it, and I can't tell you how mad the people were that were in first. We
Oh,
had
I
a little
bet.
we had a little meetup later, and they said, "Man, I was in first all day, and then I already was ready to get the money and everything, and then I checked the app right when the tournament was done, and I saw you log 2 fish at 7 minutes to go, and I went from 4th to first just like that. It
Oh,
was crazy."
dude, that is a sick win. Congrats. That's awesome. And now you have those guys hate you for life.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm not sure how too many of the other tournaments work, but basically we were all fishing the same stretch of river,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a big meetup after it was all said and done, like grilled hot dogs, hamburgers, and gave away a bunch of stuff. The guy that hosted the tournament had like a big box of Guggen gear, all kind of like gift cards and stuff for like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pretty good little turnout. I had fun. I planned one. I just haven't even had time to even think about that.
I don't have anything against tournaments. I just don't feel like I have the time for it. I got 2 littles, like 7 and 5 years old. You got 3, and so maybe
Right.
someday I'll get into them. I think they would be fun, but man, I'm just not there yet. But someday
Right.
I will. And
I'm
hope.
sure. I'm sure you're like I am. Especially with kids and a wife. Like the place I went and fished the kayak tournament was 2 hours away, so I'm looking at 4 hours just in drive time. You're fishing an hour tournament, whatever it is, so you're gone all day. And a lot of times, I like to just kind of go fish a spot for 2 or 3 hours and then come home, be with my family. So guys like us, if it's not a full-time thing, now if it was my job,
Oh
I'd
yeah,
go 8-10 hours, sure, but working a full-time job, and then I can't be out spending 10 hours a day fishing all the time with a
no,
family.
yep, nope. I hear you there. All right, I got one I got two more questions for you. One from Mark Ogletree says, "Getting a GoPro for my kayak adventures for fishing." Hey, welcome to the community, Mark. It's awesome. And recording us just having a good time. Hey, I love it. What's the best accessory for my GoPro? What would you say, Marshall?
I'm not sure which model you have, but I can tell you that just a couple months ago, I have the Hero 9, and I got the media mod with the microphone, and the sound quality difference is night and day better with that media mod, just in my personal opinion. So
Mm.
that's my new favorite GoPro accessory. If you don't have that accessory, a pretty good one to get is like a YOLO Tech mount where you can have power all day, whether or not you get the juice box. Like the juice box provides you with 6 hours of battery life on top of your battery that's inside. So you get about 7 hours of record time,
Mm.
and not having to swap out batteries is a game changer.
Oh yeah, don't
So
do that.
like right now, I have the juice box up front. So that's 7 hours of battery life I have for my front mount. And then my back mount, I have a small 12-volt lithium battery I run my back camera to. So I don't even have to worry at all. But I'd say either get a phone accessory if you have a newer GoPro like the 910 or the 11 that can have that media mod, or get you some type of battery source where you don't have to worry about swapping out them batteries. Those are my
Yeah,
top two.
I made a couple of videos on basically just hooking those with hooking your chest mounts and everything up to all day battery power. You can check those out at Wendell Fishing. But man, those are game changers because if you're sitting there changing out batteries, one, you can't reach them half the time because they're on booms going off the front and back.
That's
But yeah, that's and I've had people like, I can't believe I've been changing out batteries because they only last an hour. They're garbage, and so you
right.
got to plug in your full time all day power in those bad boys. I have
Right.
a GoPro 7 Black. Probably need to upgrade here soon. But Mark, I know you watch my videos because you comment on them all the time. So if you like, and I love that you do that. But if you like what you're looking at for my video, that's a GoPro. I think it's a 7 Black. So you can check that out.
That's
All
a
right.
pretty good starter one. That's a
Yeah,
good.
not bad, and the price
I
price is gonna be good for you as
I
well.
used to have a 7 Black, and I can tell you that's a great GoPro. It's pretty affordable. You can get them cheap now,
Mm,
especially if you go on Facebook Marketplace.
mm.
Like you can probably get them for 125, $150 any day of the week. And they don't, I've never had any issues out of mine overheating. The sevens, those are a pretty good model. You don't
Yeah,
have to worry about too much.
I would say the same. No problem. I've never had problems. I did run my Yak Attack boom and get into a tree, and it snapped off and went in the water, and now it has like this forever red light, but still working. So not too bad. Mark says thanks, and he does have a juice box. It's great. He has a Hero 10. All
Okay,
right.
Hero 10, yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I would media mod. And that media mod, I'm sure you're familiar with this. It has all kind of attachments. Once you buy the media mod that goes on it, it's already got the speaker, it's got the windshield. You can put a flashlight on it. You can put all kind of different mounts that come on to that. So that's a pretty cool new thing that GoPro come up with on those. I like it.
Nice. Richard, to our earlier conversation. So what I'm hearing is not to have a family if he wants to fish.
Now you
Uh,
can fish all you want. You're just not going to have a happy family.
yeah, not a happy family. You're gonna have a very unhappy wife, and we all know how that goes. Love it. All right, we're at the top of the we're over time, Marshall. So I
Hey,
got
I'm
one.
enjoying it. I'll stay as long as you want, as long as I
Yeah,
got
right.
questions. So,
I would love to keep you longer, but I usually only run these an hour. But I do have one last question for you. Who do you know that you think would be a great fit to have on the next Kayak Fishing Obsessed?
okay. I would definitely recommend Larry Melton Jr. He's a great guy. All he does is kayak fish. That is virtually, I mean, I don't even think he bank fishes. He pulls a kayak everywhere he goes. He's probably one of the guys that kind of influenced me into getting a kayak in the first place. And great guy, lives in Alabama. I would
Yeah.
recommend you get him on.
So you got rid of your boat, and you're solely kayak fishing, or
I,
no?
I still have a John boat. I just if if I fish 20 times, 19 times are going to be out of a kayak and 1 time is going to be out of the boat. So that's about my ratio.
Yeah. Well, the John boat got you in trouble because that's the one you're arguing with that guy about on the point. You're in your John boat.
Right.
All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate it. I don't see any questions here. Mark said, "Cool. Thank you for that." Marshall, thank you for your time, man. And once again, thanks to US River Maps for sponsoring the show. And we'll see you next week. I forget who our guest is next week, but I know we have one. So you see you next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for showing up, guys. See you next week. Bye.